Welcome to our second video in our graphing using Excel series. So the graph that we're going to be looking at today is histograms. This is a quick little video because histograms have definite benefits in Excel. You get to skip making your frequency distribution table, but it also has the pitfall of not being able to manipulate things quite as much. So when we're making misleading graphs, it's not a very useful tool. So to make a histogram in Excel, you actually do not need the same frequency distribution table that we used in class. So you can just work with raw data. So that's what's the benefit of technology here. Instead of having to go through and count your data and figure out how you're going to organize it, Excel does a lot of the work for you. It even determines the range of each bar. So all you have to do is select your data as such. And then you're going to go to Insert, and we're not going to go to Recommended Charts. Again, you could, and they all pop up over here. It analyzes your data and suggests things that you could potentially do. It looks like there's a lot of column and bar graphs that we might use, but what we want is a histogram. So we're going to go in here, and we're going to specifically select histograms, which is this one right here. Okay, so under Other, you're looking for this particular chart. And it does the work for us. Now it lays out the data a little bit differently. So it always groups, just like we said in class, the value into the lower categories. So that's why we've got these little square brackets here. That shows that it's included in that range versus the rounded bracket here. So whereas when we were creating our histograms in class, we had the minimum labeled at one end and the maximum at the other. And that's the more appropriate way to create a histogram. You can use Excel to create it this way. And it includes all of our values. Now, the downside to using Excel to create a histogram is that it doesn't understand kind of the context of our data. So while we can see that most people landed in the 71 to 94 range, and a close second is between 48 and 71, they've also grouped 94 to 117. And that's not an especially helpful category because grades only go up to 100. So if we are trying to kind of manipulate things and look at the different axes, it doesn't really let us manipulate them in the web version. So we're kind of stuck with this. All we can do is either add our axis labels or remove them. If we removed our axis labels, this would be then creating manipulated or misleading graph, because even if I added my appropriate chart title, and I can edit it here and call it grade 11 essentials, grade 11 essentials marks, you would assume that it goes from 0 to 100. So all of a sudden it looks like the majority of people either failed this course or ended up in like the 50s range, and there were very few people that were successful. Whereas we know from this data that only one person ended up actually below that 50 mark. So that's how we would do misleading graphs on Excel for histograms. It's not as dynamic. I don't recommend it. Histograms by hand in that sense are a way better option.